Have you ever truly believed in ghosts? I didn't. Not until a chilling night in March 2007 at a place called the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham, England. It's been almost 10 years, but the memories are as clear and vivid as if it happened yesterday. If you're skeptical, I won't blame you. If I hadn't experienced it firsthand, I wouldn't believe it either. But that night, my world and my understanding of the unseen changed forever. My colleague Carl and I, both fitness instructors at a Hilton Health Club, started discussing the spooky happenings reported by guests and staff. We were extremely skeptical, and our discussions were mostly for fun, a break from routine. A random Google search led us to discover an overnight ghost watch at the Galleries of Justice, where people were sponsored to stay. We were dared to take part, and we agreed, purely to raise money for charity and have some fun, still not believing in ghosts. The Galleries of Justice, a historical site with old courtrooms and a jail by design, isn't welcoming. Even after arriving among about 20 participants, we were told there was a high probability we'd see or hear nothing, and that the event wouldn't be staged. Little did we know, this night would prove them very, very wrong. Our journey began in the old courtroom, leading down into the first part of the jail. Despite the darkness, I felt no more uncomfortable than on my previous daytime visits. Armed with torches, we navigated the site, though the flickering beams did add to the drama. The cells were as expected, cramped, dank, and uncomfortable. Yet no ghostly feelings surfaced, even inside the condemned prisoner's cell with lights off. From there, we were led along a stone and dirt tunnel, narrow and a little claustrophobic. Carl and I were at the back of the single-file group. After just a few minutes of walking, I felt something hit the back of my Achilles, like a stone being kicked up. I stopped, pointed my torch down, and saw a pebble just coming to rest. Just as I realized I must have kicked it myself, a second pebble, similar in size, shot past me and struck Carl in the back of the leg. He spun around, looking at me as if to ask what I had thrown, when a third and fourth pebble were hurled towards us at great speed. We immediately shone our torches back down the tunnel. It was impossible for anyone to have thrown them and vanished without us seeing or hearing them. We hurried to catch up, explaining what happened, but the two girls from Birmingham, still skeptical, didn't seem to believe us. After exploring other areas that weren't frightening and a coffee break, we were taken to the deepest part of the jail. These were rooms and walkways carved directly out of the rock, leading to two adjoining dead-end caves. Despite the pebble incident, Carl and I still weren't scared. The caves were empty, apart from what we believed were vast numbers of small animal bones and ineligible scrawlings on the walls. As one of the guides began to explain a séance, a guy to our left suddenly exclaimed,
"Fuck this, that's enough for me," looking absolutely terrified.
He couldn't explain what he saw, only that
It was like a brazier, but it was definitely there.
and he insisted on leaving. Still, not seeing anything ourselves, we mostly shrugged it off, not knowing what a brazier was. The guide then invited us to stand in a circle, switch off our torches, and hold hands tightly. Many of us found it a bit far-fetched, with smirks and giggles annoying the guides. Once the torches were off and everyone was holding hands, the guide asked if any spirits were present. Nothing happened until he repeated the question, and a girl to our right gave out a disturbing noise, something between a yelp and a scream. She explained she
felt someone very large standing behind me, and I could feel their breath on my neck.
But I thought it was just a draft from the tunnel. After regaining composure, we tried again, but nothing more happened. Then, a Birmingham girl volunteered to try communicating, and the guide asked if anyone had a red filter for their torch, explaining spirits are attracted to red light. The red filtered torch was placed in the middle of the cave, and we encircled it, holding hands. The girl repeated,
"Are there any spirits here that wish to communicate?"
and then spontaneously added,
"If there is anyone here, can you make the light go out?"
Immediately, as her last word left her mouth, the cave plunged into darkness, filled with screams. The red torch had gone out. As our regular torches came back on, with heartbeats racing, the guide tried to calm us, but we were all nervously smiling and cursing. The torch owner quickly dispelled the idea of a malfunction. It flickered perfectly when tested. The guide asked if the girl was willing to continue, place the torch up, and she asked,
"If that was you, can you do it again?"
Before her last syllable finished, we were again thrown into darkness. And this time, the screams were less jovial. We were truly scared. Torches came back on, and the guide, convinced we had made contact, advised against provoking anything unpleasant or violent. It was then I noticed the group chuckling at Carl and me. The two big, strong fitness instructors were still holding hands. After more explanations about spirits and light, we moved to some living quarters, a 10-meter square room with a large wooden bed, clearly illuminated. Carl was clearly visible to my left, with no one else near me. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I felt as if someone had grabbed me hard between the legs, the pain radiating to my stomach, making me almost double over. My rational brain tried to dismiss it as nervousness, but I was shocked by its sudden onset. I said nothing, listening to the guide as he began to speak. What he said next will stay with me forever. He explained that 20 to 30 women were forced to live in this small room, and it was regular practice for drunk jailers to rape them. Then he added,
"On occasion, some of the male members of our tour groups have either been attacked or actually grabbed by their privates."
He paused and asked,
"Is anyone experiencing anything like that?"
There was no way I was going to share that with a group of strangers. I only told Carl what happened as soon as we left the room, and within minutes, the stomach pain vanished as quickly as it had arrived. In the early hours of the morning, our numbers dwindled, and a few of us went with a guide to the courtroom. We took photos, hoping to capture something, but the guide dismissed our orbs as dust particles. We were the only ones there, having walked all around the room. Gathering near the judge's chair, we turned off our torches, and though it was relatively dark, we could make out each other's figures. After a few minutes of silence, from just a meter behind me, we clearly heard slow footsteps, wooden shoes on the wooden floor. They walked from behind me, next to me, in front of me, and then faded into the empty, dark room. Every single one of us heard them as clear as day. If our eyes had been closed, we'd have thought someone just walked past. The interesting thing was that despite experiencing something ghostly, none of us felt uncomfortable or scared. It was more like,
Wow! Did that just happen?
excited. We fell silent again, hoping it would happen once more. No footsteps this time, but a tune was whistled from about 5 meters away from one side of the court. We all stared at each other, eyes wide, whispering.
Was that from outside?
We waited, and just seconds later, it happened again. Clearly coming from inside the courtroom, not the bars outside. It was definitely a tune, not just the wind. After a couple of minutes of silence, one of our group members whistled a 4-note tune. Immediately, the tune was mimicked from the darkness only a couple of meters in front of us. Our eyes were now accustomed to the light, and we knew there was simply nothing there to make the noise. The mimicking happened one more time, but then, despite our efforts, nothing more occurred, signaling time for a final coffee break. It was almost 5 a.m., and we were allowed to explore unguided. Carl and I decided to head back down the tunnel where the stones were thrown, and to the cave where the man saw the brazier. We walked through the courtroom and down the iron spiral staircase to the newest cells, a place we'd visited multiple times. As we passed a cardboard display and reached the condemned cell, about to turn left into the tunnel, Carl and I froze in perfect sync. We weren't just scared, but frozen with an overwhelming fear, feeling sick to our stomachs. We were sure that if we took another step, something terrible would happen. Something was there, and it absolutely did not want us there. It was unlike anything we had felt all night, petrified, vulnerable, with serious concerns for our safety. We wanted nothing more than to back out very carefully, almost apologetically, but as quickly as we could. The only other time I've felt a similar sickness was at Alcatraz in 2005 in the exercise yard, where I also felt something was unhappy we were there. Around 5:30 a.m., we decided whatever we had just experienced was enough to convince us it was time to leave. We walked the short distance back to my apartment, discussing the night's events over a couple of beers. The following Monday morning, I woke up inexplicably weak, almost paralyzed, and was diagnosed with severe pneumonia. Just 36 hours earlier, I had been in the best physical shape of my life, but I inexplicably lost 2 stone in weight over the next 2 weeks. I lived in that apartment for several years after, but I was never comfortable walking past the steps of the galleries of justice again, especially after dark. That night transformed me from a complete skeptic into someone who knows, without a doubt, that some things simply cannot be explained by logic alone. The galleries of justice didn't just tell us ghost stories. It showed us its own dark living history. The pebbles, the disappearing light, the chilling touch, the footsteps, the mimicking whistle, and that paralyzing fear on the staircase. They weren't coincidences or tricks of the mind. They were real, palpable encounters that still give me shivers to this day. Now I turn to you. Have you ever experienced something unexplainable, something that defied all logic and changed your perception of reality? Please, share your stories in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more mysterious tales.